And we are live. Welcome to Detox. I'm your host, Veronica Brockwell. So excited tonight because we have the doctor in the house. It's the last Tuesday of the month, and Dr. Michael Wild is here to talk about how he feels we can turn back the anti-aging. We can turn back the clock on anti-aging. So this is a topic that I am very interested in because I'm getting older, and I'm sure many of you are worried about how you feel, your health, how you look. So we're going to bring him on, and he's going to talk about ways that we can look, feel younger, and actually be younger. So let's bring Michael on. Hello.
Hi there.
How are you?
Fantastic.
I'm so glad.
I'm glad to be here.
I'm glad you're here.
And of course, Ralphie's with me too, just to say hello.
I love Ralphie. I love Ralphie. You know, I had a plan and I didn't do it because I got nervous, but I was going to try to do a Cher imitation.
Oh.
If you could turn back time. But I didn't do it. I was like practicing earlier, like I can do Cher. Yeah, I chickened out. But you can help us.
I am not going to sing like Cher, but I can absolutely teach you how to literally turn back time. So as you were saying, what we're going to talk about tonight are some of the scientific shortcuts that we can take to not only look better and feel better and look younger and feel younger, but to actually be younger physiologically. So we all have a biological age and we have a chronological age. So our chronological age is how many years old you are since the day of your birth. But look at someone in your same age bracket, and you can see some people that look fantastic and some people look like what happened to them, right? Yeah. So you can tell some people age much faster than others. And tonight we're going to talk about some of the key reasons why that happens, but also more importantly, what can you do to reverse that effect or prevent that effect?
Oh, that's fantastic. Before we get started, though, we have probably a lot of viewers that aren't familiar with what you do. So you are a cellular medicine specialist and a biohack. Can you explain the term biohack?
Sure. There's a number of different ways to define biohacking, but the one I like that I use all the time is it's using scientific shortcuts to rapidly improve your health and performance. So a simple explanation of that, let's say you went traveling and then you were jet lagged and had a hard time getting back into your sleep cycle. So you might take a little bit of a hormone called melatonin to help you sleep. You just did a biohack, okay?
Oh,
so
okay.
You biologically hacked into your body to speed up something it wasn't able to do on its own or as well on its own.
Okay.
So that's a good example right there. So a lot of times we're doing these things and don't even realize that you're technically biohacking.
Yeah, I wouldn't have. Yeah, I didn't realize that. So that's a really good example using melatonin.
Yeah, and I mean, remember the $6 Million Man? I know I'm dating myself, right?
But no, I'm right there with you.
I mean, all right. So talk about anti-aging. Do you think I look good for my age? Because I am 79. No, I'm completely lying. I am not. Okay.
I was sitting here in shock. I was like, really?
I hope.
Because I really don't know how old you are. I've never asked.
Well, I'm not going to tell.
Okay. All right. Fair.
Well, in the $6 Million Man, they implanted something into his eye where he could see for miles. Well, that's another form of biohacking. So there are modern day biohackers who do implantables, put things into their body to change their physiological function, like their vision. A couple of guys injected an extract from jellyfish into their eyes last year that turned their eyes completely black, so they looked like zombies, but they could see in the dark, like as if it was daytime.
Oh, wow.
So there's all kinds of wild stuff you can do, and I don't really advocate injecting your eyes with anything. We're going to talk about some really down-to-earth, normal stuff that everyone can do in tonight's episode.
And you're a cellular medicine specialist.
Right.
So can you touch upon that?
Absolutely. So I'm technically a cellular healing specialist. And what that means is that I focus on where cells go wrong. All of our disease starts at the cellular level, right? So our bodies are made up of trillions of cells. And first, when anything goes wrong, it starts at the cellular level and then grows from there. And so I help people prevent and stop and even reverse chronic diseases related to chronic inflammation of cells. You may have heard of some of these: heart disease and stroke, diabetes, cancer, Alzheimer's, autoimmune dysfunction. There's over 150 different conditions that go into that category. One of the major ones is hypothyroidism. All these relate to cellular inflammation and toxicity. And that is my specialty.
Okay. So what we're going to cover tonight is how to turn back the clock. So where do you want to start?
Well, let's talk first about probably the single easiest way to age.
Okay.
And age faster. So you could figure out how to stop doing that, right? So the single fastest way to age and to make your cells die faster is to eat a lot of sugar.
Right.
So sugar, when we consume sugar, and sugar doesn't just mean sugar from the table, all carbohydrates, fruits and vegetables, grains, breads, anything convert to sugar. All proteins convert to sugar. So if you eat tons of protein, you're getting a lot of sugar. If you eat tons of vegetables, you're getting a lot of sugar. If you eat tons of sugar, you're getting a lot of sugar. Tons of fruit. So obviously not all forms of sugar are created equal, because we know veggies are good for us, right?
Sure, yeah.
So simple carbohydrates and man-made forms of sugar are the worst. Think high fructose corn syrup, right? Very concentrated sugar. When that started really coming out in we started coming out there with that in the 60s and 70s, really a lot in the 80s. And our sizes.
It was everything. It was in everything.
Right? Exactly. And our
it
portions
still
really
is.
It is. You got to really watch out for it. And they've changed the name because the food manufacturers become savvy to realize that people have become savvy and realize that we should not be consuming all this high fructose corn syrup. So now they call it corn sugar. Okay? Or just syrup, but it's actually all high fructose corn syrup. So it's very concentrated, high doses of sugar. And I think a lot of times we don't realize how much sugar we're actually consuming. So let's just take it as an example. You like to have a soda now and then. Let's say you have a Coke. How many grams of sugar are typically in that can or bottle of Coke that you're consuming? Right? Any idea?
I don't know, 20.
More like 50 to 60, right? So, or more, right? And certain things are even higher. But let's just say 60. 60 grams of sugar in that entire bottle. What does that mean? Well, and you might even give that to your kid and think, oh, it's just a soda, it's not a big deal. Well, to put it in real terms, a packet of sugar that you might put into your coffee is, depending on the size of the packet, 3 to 4 grams. Okay. Now, would you dump 20 of those in your kid's mouth and think that's okay?
Never.
Right? Or in your own body? So I think we consume sugar much more so than we realize. And there's a lot of hidden sugar. Look at ketchup, ton of sugar, right? Sugar is added to every item on the McDonald's menu, including the French fries. Every single item contains sugar. Breads have a lot of sugar. And the reason for that is, again, the food manufacturing companies are no dummies. Sugar is probably the single most addictive molecule or chemical compound that we consume. They did studies with rats where they addicted them to both cocaine and heroin, and then they introduced them to sugar, and they would kill each other to get the sugar and never went back to the heroin or cocaine. So it was much more of a fast high, and your body's getting that, your brain's getting that, you don't even realize it. So what's the problem with sugar? When we consume sugar then your body, your cells do need some form of sugar. Your cells have two main forms of fuel: glucose, which is sugar, and ketone bodies, which are fats. That's what our cells eat. Okay, but sugar, as you may have heard me speak about before, is a very quick burn, a very easy burn. It burns like throwing wood onto a fire. It generates a lot of smoke. That smoke then binds to protein structures, and every tissue in your body is a protein structure. Every cell is a protein structure. So it starts binding to those tissues and it starts damaging them. And that binding and damaging is called glycation.
Okay.
And the end result of that glycation is you end up with advanced glycation end products, AGE, age. Right? Now, I'm not sure if someone actually just named it that because they knew it aged you faster and thought that was cute, or it's just some really cool coincidence. But when you consume sugar, you age very quickly by producing more advanced glycation end products, which damage your cellular tissues. That damage makes them get sick and ultimately die. And when that happens to your skin cells, you get wrinkles, right? So what's another form of this happening besides sugar? Real smoke. You ever see someone smoke? The smoke comes up. What does their skin look like?
I know. Yeah.
Right? It gets leathery. It gets damaged. It gets spotty because you're getting all that smoke damage. Well, you're doing that internally when you consume sugar. All right? So that is the easiest way to age, and the easiest way to stop aging rapidly, stop eating sugar. Right? I mean, it doesn't get much more simple than that. Yeah. And that's one of the benefits of things like a ketogenic diet. Yeah. Right? Because they are getting more of your calories from the fats rather than the sugar. I'm not saying never have fruits and vegetables. I'm not saying that at all. Right. And realize that those natural forms of the sugar come complete with their own fiber and their own enzymes that help the body metabolize that sugar differently. Mm-hmm. So it's much healthier, of course, to eat that. I'm a big fan of lots and lots of good, healthy, organic veggies and some fruits. We in this culture consume way more fruit than we should. Fruit should be treated like a delicacy because fruit tend to have a lot more sugar than it does fiber. Berries are a good choice. Lots of fiber, low sugar. So if you want to have a dessert, have lots of berries and have it with your own organic whipped cream. Right. All right. That's I have that all the time. It's fantastic. Right.
Well, I think too, we have fruit available to us year round.
Right.
And that's not, how it was supposed to be.
Right.
Fruit is seasonal.
Exactly.
And we're getting it from all over the world. Anytime we want anything, it's available to us in mass quantities at the grocery store. So
right.
I think that's another reason why we consume so much fruit.
You're exactly right.
And in the wintertime, we wouldn't have that luxury, right? Normally.
Right. Remember we've talked about in previous episodes, we talked about the chair diet that I created, right? Cellular healing, anti-inflammatory rotation, because you should eat seasonally. That would be ideal. In the wintertime, you don't get a lot of fruits or vegetables available. You get some root vegetables and mostly more of your meats, right? And your beans and things like that. But it's really in the spring and summer that we get more abundance to our fruit and even our ripe vegetables. And so that's where it's better to be vegetarian, So a little bit more carnivore like paleo or keto in the winter times and more vegetarian in the summertime, and then pescatarian in the fall or spring. Right. So by keeping that rotation going, we're going more along with nature, the way our body was intended to. And our digestive enzymes actually change their percentages and their concentrations by season. Part of that's influenced by our sun exposure, which changes seasonally. And also our microbiome, the bacteria that live in our gut, change seasonally. And they are actually determining how you digest and break down your food. So it's ideal for us to eat seasonally. When we go and eat things that we just like year round, same thing over and over, we create digestive problems. If we go to another culture on vacation, let's say we go to Mexico and we eat their regular food, we get something called Montezuma's revenge, right? So our digestive system doesn't handle that real well because our microbiome from where we live and what our body is used to is not used to the foods in their zone, right? So we'd have to be there for a while to develop a new microbiome that would be able to break that down properly. But because ours isn't, it's not that we got a bad bug necessarily, but we can't even digest it properly. So our body expels it.
Right. Can I ask you, what is a healthy amount of sugar to have every day in terms of your fruits and vegetables, and not to be in ketosis per se,
Right.
but just
Right.
what's a number that our audience can take away today regarding sugar?
Well, you don't necessarily have to be in ketosis where you're fully burning just ketone bodies. That's not necessary.
Yeah.
But you do want to keep your overall sugar consumption down, right? And generally, you probably wouldn't want more than 500 calories a day coming from sugar, right? Which is not a whole lot. It really isn't, you know?
Yeah.
So you want to keep those servings to a minimum with that. So if you look at your caloric breakdown in the food you're going to eat and see how much of the calorie count's coming from sugar, try not to go above 500 in a day.
Okay, so we'd have to figure out how many grams that is depending on what
Yeah,
our calories are for that day.
Right.
You know.
Right. And that's also something that's a little bit hard to say because it is something that's subjective to your body's metabolic rate, right?
Okay.
And how rapidly you're actually able to metabolize and burn your food off. So it's not really the same for everybody, but that's a good rule of thumb.
Is there a range, like 50 to 100 or 25 to 50?
As far as grams go, that also depends on the grams of what. Are we talking about grams of strawberries or grams of table sugar?
No, not table sugar. Maybe
Okay.
fruits, like healthy sugars.
So basically, you want to keep your servings to like a single cup size. Think about
Okay.
that.
Okay. All right. That works.
Like a cup of strawberries, not a bushel of strawberries.
I know, right?
Right.
That sounds good. All right.
So getting back to sugar, one thing I want to talk about with that is sugar creates a stress on not only our cells individually, but we have certain hormones that have to help us metabolize that sugar, right? So we all are probably aware of the primary hormone that our body uses to metabolize our sugar, because people with diabetes have a problem with not producing enough of this hormone, and it's called insulin,
Yes.
right? So insulin is very important because its job is to open the cell's door to let the food in.
Yeah.
But we have other hormones that have to balance with that insulin that are just as important that you really never really hear about.
Okay.
One's called glucagon, and that's made by your liver, and that tells the door to shut, right? So insulin opens the door, but then you got to know, when is it time to shut that door, or am I getting too much sugar into my cells? And that comes from your liver. And when you have a lot of sugar, especially things like high fructose corn syrup, like we're talking about, that damages not only your pancreas that makes insulin, but it damages your liver as well. And it creates something called fatty liver disease.
Oh, yeah.
So the excess sugar that your body can't consume and can't use has to get stored in some way. So after your cells eat up as much as they can eat up and use, if there's any extra sugar lying around in your bloodstream, it's going to create those advanced glycation end products by binding to your cells, and it's going to create damage. And your brain knows that's a bad thing. And the way we measure that in your blood is through something called the hemoglobin A1C. You may have heard of that. Diabetics measure that. They measure your daily glucose, which how much sugar is there right now. But also they measure the hemoglobin A1C or HbA1c, which is actually an average of how much advanced glycation end product damage your cells have withstood for the last 3 months. So we're really looking at how much cell death and damage do we have going on. And so by looking at that, we can tell if you've been cheating on your diet or if you are truly pre-diabetic or diabetic. So that range, the hemoglobin A1C, is a very important marker. Everyone should measure in their blood whether they're diabetic or not, because it'll show you if you're heading towards trouble. And that range should go between 5 and 5.5. That's a normal range. If you start going between 5.5 and 6, we call you pre-diabetic. If you start going above 6 to 6.5, we call you diabetic. And if you go above that, we start calling you uncontrolled diabetes. And that's where you're going to start having some serious damage, like possible blindness, losing fingers and toes, heart disease and heart failure, because you're shutting down your blood vessels, you're shutting down your immune system. So very important number to know, that if your doctor's not measuring that, they should be, right? A lot of times they don't look at that unless you already have a history of diabetes, but it's really something everyone should look at, because why wait until you have the disease to start looking at it? Why not know, hey, I'm starting to climb that way. Why don't I stop it now? Right?
So we eliminate sugar. That's
Okay.
step one.
All right. So the other thing that does is it starts to damage another hormone called cortisol.
Okay.
Okay. So when insulin goes up, your body has to raise your cortisol level to come out and sweep up that extra sugar in your bloodstream and stores it first in your blood as something called triglycerides.
Yeah.
So on your blood work, another indicator that you might be having a sugar problem is your triglycerides are starting to elevate. If your triglycerides are elevating, that's the first sign for most people that you have a sugar metabolism problem. And that means you're aging faster.
Okay.
So if your triglycerides are going up, you sped up your aging process, right? So we have to balance all that. And one of the main ways we do that is stop eating sugar. And the second way we do that is we support the glands that are making the hormones that have to work with the sugar metabolism. So we want to analyze and support our liver. And we want to analyze and support our adrenal glands. The adrenal glands are making your cortisol. And your adrenal glands are responsible for a great many things in your body, including your entire fight or flight response. So they handle your stress response to everything.
Okay.
So if that starts getting screwy, then you don't sleep as well, right? So if your cortisol goes up, your melatonin goes down and your insulin goes down. And then you don't sleep as well because you don't get into a proper sleep cycle and your cells aren't getting fed as well when you're sleeping, right? Then you wake up starving in the morning because you couldn't get any sugar, right? So if your body is really sugar dependent and you are damaged by sugar, you will be really hungry in the morning, okay? So the reason I'm telling you all this is because there are simple tests you can do to analyze the health of your adrenal glands, and it's a saliva test, right? And the best way to do this is to actually measure your cortisol levels throughout a 24-hour circadian rhythm cycle, not just a one-time look at your cortisol in your blood. That's a really poor way to do it. You're getting a snapshot with that. You really need to see the whole picture. So a spit test is the best way to do that. Yeah. And that tells us about your adrenal health. I do a test in my office that looks at not only your cortisol throughout the 24-hour rhythm, but also looks at 4 other hormones that relate to that, like your insulin and an antibody in your gut lining called secretory IgA that tells you about the health of your intestinal lining, if that's being affected by your sugar. Because if it is, then you start developing what we talked about in some other episodes, things like leaky gut syndrome. Yeah. And you develop food sensitivities. And that accelerates your aging because it creates more inflammation. And more inflammation makes your cells die faster. Yeah. So I know I'm kind of going round about, but I want you to kind of see how this is all connected.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everything we've been talking about in every episode we've had together, it's all connected one way or another. Okay, it's all a cascade. We actually just launched a new program in my office just this week called the Health Restore Program, designed all around exactly what we're talking about, correcting the stress to your adrenal glands, which corrects your inability to sleep, corrects hormone imbalances, corrects difficult weight loss, corrects moderate to mild digestive problems, mood instability, all ties to those adrenal glands and these hormones. Do the right test, get on a specific program to correct what your individual issues are based on that test, and we can generally see most of this get repaired within just 3 months. So I call it the Health Restore Program because it really is doing just that. It's the simplest way to have the greatest impact. And
those tests, you have them available on your website, yes?
I do, yeah. So if someone's interested in learning more about that, they can go to my website at drwildcanhelp.com, and under the top menu, you'll see something that says programs. And in the programs, you'll see the Health Restore Program, and you can read about it and watch a 2-minute video that explains it very quickly and easily to you. And then you can just give us you can click on a little button there that gives you a free consultation. So you can ask us any questions you want about the program, and we can talk to you for 10 or 15 minutes and determine if we really think that would be something that would benefit you. Yeah. And if it is, then we can mail you a test kit and we go from there.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I've done some of your tests already, so I still have one that's out. I think it's that one, right? That I have.
No, the one that you did was a bit more of advanced test than this. This is a brand new program that we just started to make it a little bit easier for people to see what's going on. We jumped ahead with you because you were just that screwed up. No, we jumped ahead based on your history and some other issues we had about certain hormones that go beyond the test I'm talking about right now.
Okay.
This is what I'm talking about right now is a great place for most people to start.
Oh, fantastic. All right.
Yeah.
That's great.
So and sorry, I do have a big dog in the background who's barking because he wants me to play with him. So sorry about that. All right. So let's talk more about some other things. Okay. So now we got that out of the way. So what's some things that we can do right away, every day, to help with how we look? So we really just talked about how we can stop our aging. Another thing we talked about was intermittent fasting, right? And Dr. Walter Longo, out of the University of Southern California, is the world's expert on the benefits of intermittent fasting. And he has written a few books, but there's one all about this. And he showed that if you simply fast for 5 days, you can dramatically reverse your aging process on a biological level. So there are blood tests you can do that measure different biological markers of aging. And Gwyneth Paltrow actually did an interesting episode on her podcast called The Goop, where she interviewed Dr. Walter Longo, because she has become very interested in holistic healing. And she's kind of gotten out of the movies and gotten into natural health. And so she, of course, has a whole product line and all kinds of cool stuff with what she does. But on The Goop, she interviews Dr. Walter Longo. And she does a test. She goes, okay, let's put your theory to the test. And he actually produces a boxed set of certain foods that you can eat that don't take you out of a fasting mode. So you can fully fast, which really is the ideal way to do it, and just have pure water or maybe bone broth. But some people say, I can't do that. I can't, there's no way I can't eat for 5 days. The reality is you can. You just got to train yourself for it. I don't recommend going right into it, right? But you can do it. And if you want to make it easier, he has a system called Prolon, which stands for Prolonging Health and Longevity. And the Prolon system breaks down to 5 individual days of prepackaged foods like dehydrated soups and protein bars and olives and crackers and things you can have, along with a nutrient drink to replenish very specific vitamins and minerals that you would need for this process to do it quickly. And you just do what he gives you each day for 5 days. And it's not a lot of food. As I told, about 500 calories for your day, but it's something. You feel like, oh, I'm eating something, right? And so Gwyneth Paltrow took herself and did that. She did his 5-day box set. And she took one of her managers and had them do a fully pescatarian diet, and had another manager do a fully organic vegetarian diet. And they didn't waver at all. Come here, buddy. And at the end of 5 days, they redid their testing. So the person who did the pescatarian diet got 6 months younger. The person who did the vegetarian diet also got 6 months younger than they were just 5 days earlier. Well, that's pretty darn cool, right? But Gwyneth Paltrow, doing the intermittent fasting, got 2.5 years younger in just 5 days.
Wow.
Now, that's pretty dramatic. So if you consider doing that every few months, you're constantly reversing that biological clock, right? So your chronological age marches forward, but your biological age can go backwards. So you can die younger than you were born. No, I don't know if that's true. But you can keep working on it and really improve your health from the inside out, because it really is an inside job, and anti-aging is an inside job. So there are things you can do on the outside to make your skin look better, and we're going to talk about those next. But the vast majority of what you have to do starts at that cellular level, because your skin's made up of cells. And if you're not doing things that actually help those cells reduce inflammation and increase their healing, they're still going to age, right? So let's start talking about some of the other things that we can do to help us look better and slow the aging process, especially when we look in the mirror, right? So we want to see what our face looks like. Yeah. So I know I gave you a couple of keywords.
I'm right here. I got it. My finger's on the banner.
Let's pop one up.
Okay. Just like that?
All right. Cryotherapy, right?
All right.
So cryo means cold. So cryotherapy is introducing cold to your body, and you can do this a couple different ways. There are different reasons why this is beneficial. Well, if you sprained your ankle, would you put heat on it or ice?
If it's swollen, you would put ice.
Correct, right?
Yeah.
And why do we do that? Because ice reduces inflammation, right? So cryotherapy, introducing cold, reduces inflammation. So one thing you can do to actually make the skin on your face look younger is rub it with ice cubes before you go to bed. Right? So take an ice cube and rub it along your face, let it melt as it's doing it to the point where your face gets a little numb. It's usually about a minute, maybe 2 minutes. Don't go more than 3 minutes, right? And that will actually make your skin produce more collagen. Really? So it's called a hormetic effect. Hormesis is the act of introducing a little negative stimulus to prompt the body to produce more healing, right? Create a little bit of irritation to make the immune system kick in.
I'm doing this tonight.
All right. So that's one thing that we can do. Another thing you can do is get your little dog to lick on you here, like this guy's doing to me right here.
That little haircut is like so cute.
Yeah.
He looks like my little Baxter. I have a little.
I gave him a serious chop job. He's not the happiest of campers, but
it's
but
summer
he does look cute.
Though. It's summer.
Yeah, exactly. It's a summer cut.
That's right. He's so cute.
To
stay on the same topic. It's actually nothing that we had discussed earlier. But what's your position on cupping? Facial cupping.
Cupping is good, right? Cupping is using a vacuum phenomenon to draw toxins towards the surface of skin, as well as to increase circulation in the area and improve lymphatic flow. So cupping can really get it. Basically, I kind of think of it as drawing the brain's attention to an area. Look at me. I'm drawing this up, bring blood flow here, bring lymphatic drainage here, which takes toxins away and helps to bring those toxins and flush them out of that area. So cupping, I think, is a good thing. When I get massages, which I try to do every 2 weeks, I often get cupping involved with that. So you kind of look like an octopus attacked you when you're done, right? You have all these suction cup kind of marks on you. But it can be very, very beneficial and accelerate the healing response as well.
Okay. I just wanted to ask you before I forgot. I actually do cupping on my face.
Okay.
I don't let it stay, but I move the cups. But I do that because I'm trying to do the same thing as you are with a cryotherapy, just in a different way. And I don't know. I guess it's working. I don't know.
A little bit different. The cryotherapy is going to stimulate more collagen production, right, and get the whole immune system to upregulate. So an additional thing for cryotherapy is take a cold shower, right? Or when like what I do every morning is I take a shower. I start up as hot as I can get it, and then I finish by making it as cold as I can get it and staying there for as long as I can stand it. Okay. So if you can do that for 3 to 5 minutes of standing under the coldest water you can, that has another hormetic effect, and your entire immune system upregulates and starts producing new, healthier tissue. Okay. All right. One of the people who you may have heard of who has made this famous is Wim Hof. And if you look at Wim Hof on YouTube, it's incredible the stuff this guy can do. They consider him a miracle man because he ran a half marathon in the Arctic wearing nothing but shorty shorts, no shoes, no socks, no nothing. Had no damage to his skin, no frostbite, no problem. He can regulate his body temperature from the inside out. And he does this through cryotherapy and breathing. And so little old breathing, is yet another biohack you can do to slow your aging. Most of us are in our fight or flight response from our stressful, hectic lives that we lead every day. And we tend to breathe in small little bursts. And a lot of times we do it in and out of our mouth. Right? So when you get stressed, you don't take nice deep breaths. You go, right? And most times we don't even realize that we're doing a lot of mouth breathing with little breaths. We're not getting good deep breaths in through our nose, which then warms the air before it reaches our lungs and filters out through little hair follicles, getting a lot of stuff out that doesn't belong in there, and then slowly exhaling and trying to exhale longer than you inhaled, right? Get out the waste. The vast majority of the waste from your body gets expelled through your breath. What doesn't come out in your breath comes out in your sweat, pee, and poop. Okay? So when you burn fat, anytime you burn fat, whether you're exercising, fasting to break it down because your body's eating it, the way fat gets out of your body, 90% is coming out in your breath. It ultimately breaks down to water vapor, right? And the rest goes out in your stool. So unfortunately, we don't lose weight just by breathing heavy. That would be nice, right? But breath is very important. So I do recommend deep breathing techniques, right? And I like something called a 1:4:2 ratio. For every 1 second you breathe in, try to hold it for 4 seconds and then exhale for 2. All right. So if you breathe in for 2 seconds, hold it for 8 seconds, exhale for 4. Right. So because we want to hold it so it's deep down in our lungs, the oxygen can actually get into our alveoli in our lungs and make it to our cells, because we know cells need oxygen to survive, right?
Yeah.
Right? How long can you live without oxygen?
Yeah, not long.
Not long, right?
Yeah.
So we need to increase oxygen flow to our cells. It's another reason why exercise is beneficial and helps us slow our aging, because it's increasing oxygen and increasing circulation to move that oxygen around, right? So that's really important. Okay.
Do you want
All
me
right.
to pop up another one?
Pop up another word. Let's go. Microneedling. All right. So
Yeah.
you may have seen these little tools sold in beauty shops and in different spas and salons that looks like a little handle with a little roller ball with little needles on it, right? You actually roll that up and down your skin to create small little pricks. Now, not enough to make you bleed, right? Don't jam yourself with it, but roll it up and down over your skin. And that also creates a stimulation, like the ice does, to create more collagen. And collagen is the building block of tighter, more toned skin. So it's like the scaffolding that holds the skin together. So also consuming collagen as a supplement, adding collagen to your food, right? Adding collagen to your coffee can be helpful in supplying the building blocks from the inside out. And then you stimulate the body to use that collagen to produce more tight and toned skin.
Okay.
All right. Let's go for another one.
I know. There we go. This, I have no idea.
All right. So GHKCU is a copper peptide, which means it's a small protein that you take as in a supplemental form. And what your listeners are going to do is they're going to use it in a serum or face serum, right? It also can be injected. I don't recommend people try to do this at home, but you can use the face serum. And I looked on Amazon right before I got on here and found a pretty good one for you to tell your listeners to get. So let me pull that picture up real quick so I can remember. All right. So let's see. This is probably going to be backwards for you. Right? Is it backwards or is that good? No, it's good, right?
Yeah, I can't.
Okay.
I can't see.
All right. So
my glasses.
So it's NCN.
NCN.
Pro Skincare.
Pro Skincare.
And this is a GHK copper peptide serum for $58. And what that does is it stimulates, it's an amino acid complex that's with peptides that stimulates healthier skin production and better cell regeneration from the inside out. And it actually works pretty well. It actually accelerates healing as well. Okay. So if you have like a burn or something and put it on that it works really well to stimulate the healing response with that. So that's a pretty good, little known, but very effective skin serum.
All right, ready?
Yeah, let's go for another one. Stem cells, right? Now, you pretty much have to be living under a rock if you haven't heard about stem cells by now, right? In the last 5 years especially, a lot of talk about stem cells. So what are stem cells? Stem cells are also known as pluripotent cells. Pluri meaning many, and potent meaning many potential. So stem cells can turn into any other cell the body needs them to be. So they have the potential to turn into whatever the body needs. So it's like a starter dough, right? And so if you need new heart cells and you inject stem cells into the heart, the body's going to turn them into heart cells. You can take those same stem cells and inject them into your stomach and they'll become stomach cells. All right. So we're not going to talk about running around injecting them per se, but people can get stem cell injections directly into their bloodstream, which travel around. The body uses them wherever it needs them. Right. But those injections used to be incredibly expensive, like $50,000. Now it's down to a more reasonable level, like $5,000. I still think that's a bit unreasonable. Remember we were talking about fasting before?
Yeah.
If you fast for 4 to 5 days, you produce the same amount of stem cells as a $5,000 injection.
Really?
Yep. So your body instantly starts producing stem cells when you fast. It's part of the healing process. So when you do that,
Okay, that's very
right,
interesting.
right. And one of the great benefits of fasting, I was just having this conversation with a patient of mine who was just diagnosed with lung cancer, and I have him on a natural cancer protocol. And I was explaining to him the importance of fasting for healing, especially with cancer, right? So we talked a little bit about this, about the ability to repair the damaged lung tissue he has with healthier cells through fasting as being part of his protocols, right? So when you fast for 4 to 5 days, you defeat about 98%, you kill about 90% of circulating cancer stem cells, and you generate normal, healthy stem cells.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty powerful. That a lot of people just don't realize how much control you have and these simple things you can do that really help in that battle.
Wow.
Okay.
Very interesting.
All right.
All right.
That's another one.
Ready?
Light therapy. All right. So here we're going to talk about the light you want and the light you don't want.
Got it.
Okay. So light, you ever see a rainbow? Right?
Yeah.
So we know that light comes in many different colors in the visible light spectrum. When we look at it, we see white light. We'll call it white light. But the reality is that all the colors are there. There's not always visible to the human eye, right? And so if we took a prism and put it up, we would see a rainbow come out because that prism then extracts all the different frequencies of that light to make them visible to the human eye, right? And even then, some we don't see. So like, let's talk about red light, for example. There's visible red light. Then as we keep going down that spectrum, there's infrared light, right? And there's near infrared and there's far infrared, the further you get out in that spectrum. And the infrared lights are not visible to the human eye, but the visible red light is visible, okay, to the human eye. But the infrared has tremendous healing properties to our cells, and our cells get jacked up and pumped up like jet fuel when you hit them with the right frequency of red light, and that increases the energy production in the cell within part of the cell called the mitochondria. And the mitochondria are the energy factory of the cell. It's like a carburetor in a car that turns the gasoline into actual energy that makes the engine go. So your glucose, your ketone bodies, when you eat, get converted to energy in the mitochondria inside your cells. There are limiting factors that will help that either speed up or slow down. There are nutrients that are involved, like copper and B vitamins and coenzyme Q10. All these things are very important to make that engine go round and round. But when you hit it with light energy and the right wavelength of red light, it speeds up that engine. So cells turn over faster and create healthier tissue, healthier tissue. So if your skin is looking old and ragged, you can create healthier skin by using the right red light wave. Okay?
Wow.
And you can buy tools that do this online that are pretty reasonable. One of my favorite, one of the ones I use in my office, we do what we call a non-surgical facelift. And there's a tool from a company called TrueDark. At TrueDark.com, it's called the Light Square. And that contains 4 spectrums or frequencies of red light and 2 spectrums of yellow light. And that actually treats your skin from the surface down through every layer of the muscle, the fat, through the bone, and even beyond. Penetrates all the way through there. So I often have people who are using this for their skin and seeing tremendous, incredible benefits of tightening and toning and getting rid of blemishes tell me, hey, my gingivitis went away. Could that be from this? I said, yeah, because it goes through and even goes to the skin of your gums and makes that healthier, right?
Wow.
So it's really pretty cool stuff. And that device is about $300, I think, right?
So you can do that at home?
Yeah.
You don't have to go anywhere to have it done. You don't have
Nope,
to.
you can come to my office and pay me to do it, but you don't have to.
Well,
right?
You're kind of far away, but I would.
So you can buy it and use it at home, right?
That's fascinating. I need to find the link for that. So
TrueDark.com.
Oh, well, there we go. I'll put this stuff up after the show. You know, when I share the show, I'll put some links up so we can get some of these things, because I know our viewers are very interested in ways they can look younger. You know,
Absolutely.
for sure. So if we can do this for them, I think they'll appreciate it.
So that's so when you go to their website, I just pulled up right now. It's under the
Yeah.
category called True Light,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
and then there's LED light therapy devices,
Mm-hmm.
and it's called an energy square, not a light square. Sorry, energy square.
An energy square.
Yep.
Do you know how often you do that?
You can do that every day.
Really?
Yep. It's $389.
Yeah.
And here is a picture of what it looks like. All right, where's that camera? There we go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And when you turn it on, it's very bright and it has all red and yellow light that comes out of it. That's pretty intense. And you sit there with your eyes shut for 20 minutes, 20 minutes a day. Right? You don't have to do it every day. Most people in my office do it 3 times a week, but you can do it every day. Now, something that will really help that work better is that copper peptide we talked about, that serum. Mm-hmm. And there's something else that you can take as a supplement called ceramide, Ceramide. Mm-hmm. And ceramide are building blocks that your skin and skin cells use to build healthier cells from the inside out. And you can take that as an oral supplement.
Let's see here. Ceramide?
That's it. You got it.
I don't have my glasses on.
Right?
Yeah.
And,
so it's a supplement.
It is. One of my favorite sources for that is a company called Life Extension.
Okay.
Okay. And I believe it's lifeextension.com.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at my phone real quick just to make sure I'm telling you the right thing.
Yep.
Yeah, lifeextension.com. And you can look up ceramide. They're going to have it in, it might be called like skin formula or something like that. But if you just go there and look for ceramide, you're going to find it.
It's fantastic.
Okay.
So,
all right. So let's go back to the light for a second. We want red light. We don't want blue light.
We don't want blue light.
Right. So blue light, also in that light spectrum, and blue light comes mostly from the artificial lights we have, like the computer screen we're looking at right now.
Yeah.
Our phone screen, fluorescent lights in an office building. All that blue light activates your cortisol response. It activates your fight or flight stress response. It stresses those adrenal glands. Okay. And when your cortisol goes up, you have more inflammation and more cell damage. Right?
Okay.
So the more we're under this artificial light, the more damaging it becomes. So you want to swap out your bulbs with more natural light bulbs in a natural light spectrum that have a softer, more yellowish hue to it. A lot of phones now have a setting. It's like a nighttime setting or even a blue screen setting, it calls it, different things, to take that blue light out so that you're not getting so much of that blue light exposure, right? That's also one of the reasons why you want to turn off all your electronic devices at least an hour before you go to bed, not be scrolling your phone as you're laying in bed if you can help it, because you're going to elevate your cortisol and make it more difficult to fall asleep or stay asleep.
Okay.
With that, don't fall asleep watching TV in bed. It's not a good idea.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Do we have any more keywords?
Nope. We're out of keywords, so.
Okay. So what about PEMF? Didn't we talk about PEMF?
Oh,
PEMF?
you know what? I am sorry. It was It was in the middle of my keyword.
I thought as much.
Oh, jeez.
All right.
There we go.
So PEMF stands for pulsed electromagnetic fields, right? Have you ever heard the term grounding?
Yes.
Right? So grounding is a fancy new word for walking barefoot.
Yes.
Right?
As we did as children all the time.
So grounding, what it means is walking barefoot to get on the ground, to get in touch with the Earth's pulsed electromagnetic field. And that pulsed electromagnetic field that the Earth produces is called the Schumann resonance. And it has a frequency of 7.83 hertz. And what that is a specific wavelength of energy that the Earth gives off that makes things grow and become healthier. So plants grow really well in the presence of that frequency field, and so do we. And we grow better physically and mentally when we're in more of a greater presence of that. Our body feels calming. Our biochemistry becomes healing when we're in touch with that frequency field. So one way you can do that is walking barefoot on the beach, right? Everyone likes walking barefoot on the beach, I think. Right. It's very calming. It's very soothing. or walking on the grass, right? Unfortunately, I live in a townhouse neighborhood where they spray the grass with crap that I don't want to walk barefoot on, right? That I don't have control over. So I am going to purposely stay off my grass, but I'm going to go to the beach as much as I can and go walk in the sand. Right.
Well, and most of us wear shoes all the time.
True,
So
right?
That breaks that connection.
Right, with a rubber barrier that does interfere with the ability to actually absorb those waves. And then we work in high-rise buildings, getting further and further away from that source, right? So one thing that you can use at home is a PEMF mat, right? So you can purchase a PEMF mat. Okay. And I use one of these in my office for my practice members, my patients. And what it does is reproduce that field just by laying on it. And you also can modulate that field a little up and a little down and have dramatic effects on the health and function of your cells. So they've been researching this for about 50 years. And there's tons of research published in PubMed, which is the Congressional Repository for Medical Literature, in peer-reviewed journals. This is not wacky stuff. Yeah. They started studying this a lot for the benefit it would have for astronauts, because the further they get away from the Earth, they get away from this field, and they start having problems. And so they started having them use PEMF frequencies in the space shuttle to be able to introduce their body to that force that their body's meant to be in contact with, right? And so when you lay on one of these mats, you don't feel it at all. You wouldn't even know it's on. But you look at blood studies and you can see congregated, clumped, clogged blood vessels with lots of red blood cells stacked up together in something called rouleau formation, which doesn't flow very well. It's more like thick oil. Put the PEMF on, boom, they open right up. They start flowing like they're water. Okay. Really? Yeah, really cool stuff. We can see that it dramatically increases stem cell production, balances hormones, really helps detoxify with lymphatic drainage, helps to put the body in a state of calming and healing. It can be used to induce sleep. It can be used to help you sleep more deeply. It can reduce inflammation. It can help you even focus. So there's a number of different settings that you can work with your PEMF mat. The one I use in my office that is my current favorite, because it's not only PEMF, but it combines that with far infrared, which generates heat and it's detoxifying and helps to your cells get younger. And it combines it also with negative ions, which actually cleans the air around you. So you're breathing more pure air, all coming out of the same mat.
I mean, this really, it's a nice mat.
Yeah.
It does a lot, right?
Yeah. So it's a really cool tool. And also, like everything else, it's becoming more and more affordable, like our cell phones. They used to be, well, they're still a little too expensive, but they're getting smaller and doing more and costing less, right? For the most part.
How much can we expect to pay for a PEMF mat?
Anywhere from a real low end one, about $500, a real high end one, about $5,000.
Oh, yeah.
Right. But the one I'm talking about that I like a lot is $1,000.
Okay.
And it comes from a company called Higher Dose.
Okay. Right. And
they also make an infrared sauna wrap, which I also use in my office, where instead of having to walk into and sit in a sauna, you wrap yourself up like you're in a burrito, right? And you get a very personal, isolated infrared sauna experience, because when you're introducing rays to the body, a certain amount of them are going to bounce off, okay? Well, when this happens in the wrap, it bounces off, back in. So it's going right back into you. And they also use things like amethyst crystals and tourmaline crystals, which amplify, like that prism that splits up the rays of the white light. Certain crystals will amplify certain frequencies of the spectrum. And these are known to give you more bang for your buck. And so that's put right into this mat we're talking about for the PEMF mat. And it's right in the sauna wrap, which is fantastic, right? Mm-hmm. So you get a much better experience.
So is the sauna wrap, is it like a sauna? Is it?
Yeah, I mean, it gets hot. It gets to about 160 degrees.
Okay. So
but it heats you internally, right? So infrared is not heating the air around you. It's sending the rays in and heating you up from the inside out like a healthy microwave, right? And it penetrates to the layer of fat just beneath the surface of your skin, and that causes the fat to mobilize toxins and expel them through your sweat glands. So you want to be sweating when you're doing this. And you want to replenish with purified water with lots of electrolyte minerals when you're done, because you need those minerals for the detoxification process, and you're going to be sweating some of those out, like potassium.
And how expensive is that?
So that, if you catch it on a good sale, could be like $600 or $700.
Okay. But these are things that you're investing in for
Right.
your health.
Right, exactly.
So,
Now, I invested in them for people in my center, so you can come in and just use them.
right.
But if you want to buy one at home, that's what it will cost you.
Right. And people, there are many people that are going to be watching this in your city. So
Right.
for them to know that they can go directly to your office and get
Exactly.
these
Like
treatments.
in my office, part of my office is called the Biohack Zone, which is a cellular healing gym.
Yeah.
And we have 3 rooms devoted to biohacking. We have one which has this technology in it, which is known as our decreased stress room, right? And have all kinds of technology in there to biohack your stress, to reduce your stress physically, mentally, and chemically. So we combine all kinds of cool things in there. And with a Biohack Zone membership, you can choose different memberships based on which room you want to use. So if you just want to use that de-stress room, it's $47 a month for unlimited use 6 days a week.
Oh, wow.
Yep. And if you came in and did that, you're getting access to over $1,000 worth of services every month. You're paying $47.
Wow.
Right?
That's fantastic.
I try and make it like a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
And then we have other rooms devoted to increasing your strength, both your cardio and your muscle strength, where you can get an entire cardio workout that's equal to a 45-minute cardio workout, an entire muscle workout that's equal to a 1-hour muscle workout combined in under 20 minutes in my center using biohacking technology.
Wow.
Super cool stuff. So we have all kinds of fun stuff. And if you are local, we always offer a complimentary tour. So if you go to drwildcanhelp.com and you book a free Biohack Zone tour, we'll take about 15 minutes to take you room by room, show you every little thing that we can do for you, explain how it all works, and then we give you a complimentary basic de-stress session, which is a hydro massage, which is like getting a jacuzzi without getting wet, while wearing a psychoacoustic headset, which is playing very specific brainwave frequencies embedded in just pretty music that's bringing your brain to a deep brainwave state that is equal to what you would normally take 3 hours of sleep to attain. We get you there in 15 minutes. And in that state, your brain actually washes out toxins. We call it brainwashing, and get rid of things like tau proteins that are associated with Alzheimer's. And we put you into a healing state. We also can use a vagus nerve stimulator on you while you're on that table, and that activates your rest, repair, and healing response by activating the parasympathetic portion of your nervous system, which does all that for you by using a specific electrical impulse attached to your ear. So again, very simple little things that put you right into a healing state, right? So in 15 minutes, you've gone to massive healing in my center. So that is included for free when you come for a tour.
So, Dr. Wild, I know you're in Richmond, but
Correct, Richmond, Virginia.
what is it? Where is your gym?
So we're in Richmond, Virginia. We're located in the west end of the city on Patterson Avenue, and we're inside of a larger building called Balance RVA. RVA is the abbreviation for Richmond, Virginia, right? So Balance RVA is a very cool integrated co-working center, and we have 7 offices within this center. And so we do different things in each of the rooms. I have my chiropractic rooms where I do my chiropractic physician work, and chiropractic care, for those who don't know, is focused on connecting your brain and your body better, right? So it's all about brain to cell communication and neurologic integrity. That's what chiropractic does. Now I also have my functional medicine lab and consulting offices where we work with cell to cell communication. So chiropractic is brain to cell, functional medicine is cell to cell. So we get the whole healing happening from the inside out. And then the remaining rooms are dedicated to the Biohack Zone.
I wish I still lived there sometimes, because I would be there in just 2 seconds.
Well, you know, I'm only a plane ride away. Come on down.
I know.
Weekend experience.
I am. I'm definitely going to do it. I still have friends and family there, and I need to get there. And I'd love to experience all of this. So we talked about finishing up at 8:00.
Yeah.
It is 8:01. I think we did all right today.
I think we did too.
Because we can make these go long.
We can. And yeah, I can talk and talk and talk and talk and talk.
And I
So,
can ask a lot of questions. So I think
you gotta cut me off. I know that I don't want to be boring, right? So I don't want to keep on going on. But I got a lot of stuff stored up here that wants to get out.
Yeah, well, we want to hear it because I find you fascinating. I love having you on every month. Grateful to you that you do Vtox and help our viewers. So, anything you want to add?
Just also remind your viewers that you don't have to be local. I'm here to answer your questions. I don't mind at all. I offer a free 15-minute phone consult to anyone who wants to pick my brain. And that's also available on the website. You just go to drwildcanhelp.com and click on the free phone consult. And I do work with clients all around the country virtually as well. So if you ever end up that you want to do functional medicine work with me, that's not something we have to be physically present for. We can do it just like we're doing this through a Zoom call, and I mail test kits and we go over information and I give you a game plan to correct any problems that we find going on. And we have some very specific programs already designed to help most people with most problems, but we also do very person-specific things. All my programs are biologically unique to you as an individual.
Yeah, they absolutely. And I work with Dr. Wild personally, and we have never met in person.
Nope. But I feel like I know you.
I know. We will. I'm going to get there. All right, my friend. drwildcanhelp.com. Go there. Go there and call him, and he will change your life. And I'm going to put ice cubes on my face tonight. I totally am. I'm sitting here taking notes.
Absolutely.
I am. I'm so excited. Yeah.
Easy things you can do.
I know. I'm going to be on Amazon. All these boxes are going to come. It's going to be great. Okay. You take care, my friend, and we will chat again soon. Okay?
All right. Awesome. See you next month.
Bye. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. I always love having him on. I learned so much. He is so smart. Anyway, I'm going to sign off, and thank you so much for tuning in. And we will be back on Tuesday night at 7 o'clock with another guest. And you all have a good night. Thanks. Bye.